stranded in the middle of a vast, blue desert. You are surrounded by the very thing you need to survive, billions of gallons of it, yet not a single drop can save you. In fact, drinking it will kill you faster than thirst itself. This was the daily, terrifying reality for pirates during the golden age of piracy. We often romanticize the life of a pirate's swords, treasure maps, and freedom, but the truth was far grimmer. Their biggest enemy wasn't the Royal Navy or rival crews, it was the biological clock ticking down to dehydration. On a wooden ship in the 1700s, there were no desalination plants, no plastic bottles, and no water filters. Yet, these outlaws managed to sail for months without touching land. How did they do it? Did they just stock up and hope for the best, or did they possess a secret knowledge that allowed them to cheat death? Today, we are diving deep into the forgotten survival tactics of the high seas to uncover exactly how pirates managed to turn deadly seawater into a lifeline, and the desperate, sometimes gruesome lengths they went to when the barrels ran dry. The genius and the madness of pirate survival, we first have to understand the stakes. The human body can survive weeks without food, but without water, you are looking at 3 days, maybe 4, before your organs start shutting down. In the sweltering heat of the Caribbean, that timeline shrinks dramatically. Pirates were working heavy ropes, fighting battles, and sweating profusely in the tropical sun. Their hydration needs were massive, often double that of a person on land. When a pirate ship left port, they were essentially racing against time. Every day at sea was a calculation of resources versus survival. If the wind died and the ship was becalmed for weeks, the water supply didn't just run low, it became a biological hazard. This constant threat of dehydration shaped every decision a captain made. It wasn't just about finding gold, it was about finding the next drink before the crew went mad from thirst. This fear drove innovation, leading to survival techniques that were surprisingly advanced for their time. You might ask, why didn't they just bring more water? They tried. But carrying water in the 17th and 18th centuries was a logistical nightmare. Ships had limited cargo space, and water is incredibly heavy, about 8.3 pounds per gallon. But weight wasn't the real problem, spoilage was. Pirates stored their fresh water in wooden casks, usually repurposed from other goods. These barrels were rarely airtight and certainly not sterile. Within days of leaving port, the water in these barrels would begin to turn. Algae would bloom in the stagnant darkness, turning the water green and slimy. Bacteria would multiply, making the water taste foul and smell like rotten eggs. After a few weeks, drinking from the water supply required a strong stomach and often a piece of cloth to filter out the visible worms and slime. This fresh water was often just as dangerous as the sea, carrying diseases like dysentery that could wipe out a crew faster than a cannonball. This spoilage forced pirates to look for alternatives, turning to chemistry and mixology to stay alive. This is where the famous pirate love for rum comes into play. It wasn't just about getting drunk, it was a matter of sanitation. Because the stored water became a petri dish of bacteria so quickly, sailors and pirates learned that adding alcohol could make it safer and more palatable to drink. This mixture became known as grog. The standard recipe, eventually adopted by the British Navy, and copied by pirates, involved mixing the stagnant, slimy water with rum, and often lime juice and sugar to mask the taste. The alcohol in the rum acted as a mild preservative and antiseptic, killing off some of the bacteria and making the water potable for longer periods. The citrus, initially added for flavor, accidentally solved the problem of scurvy, which we will touch on later. So, when you see a pirate in a movie swigging from a bottle, he isn't just partying, he is hydrating in the only safe way he knows how. It was a crude form of water treatment that saved countless lives. Now, for the impossible trick. When the barrels ran dry and no land was in sight, how did they turn the ocean into drinking water? Believe it or not, pirates and sailors practiced a primitive form of desalination. They knew that you couldn't drink seawater directly, the salt content would dehydrate your cells and cause kidney failure. However, they understood the basic principles of evaporation and condensation. Historical accounts suggest that desperate crews would use simple distillation setups. They would boil seawater in a large pot. Above the boiling water, they would suspend a sponge or heavy woolen fleece. As the steam rose, it left the salt behind. The steam would hit the cooler sponge, condense back into liquid water, and soak into the material. The crew would then wring out the sponge into a cup. The resulting water was fresh, salt-free, and safe to drink. While this method was slow and fuel-intensive, requiring wood or coal for the fire, it was a lifesaver during long becalmings. It wasn't efficient enough to supply a whole crew indefinitely, but it provided just enough to keep men from dying of thirst. While distillation was a clever science hack, pirates preferred to let nature do the work whenever possible. A sudden tropical storm was a blessing in disguise. When rain hit, the entire operation of the ship shifted from sailing to catching. Sails, often caked in salt, were not ideal for catching drinking water initially. The first few minutes of rain were used to wash the salt off the canvas. Once the water running off the sails was fresh, it was funneled into every available container: barrels, buckets, cooking pots, and even hats. This sky water was the sweetest and safest water a pirate could get. It didn't have the algae of the barrels or the smoky taste of distilled water. Experienced navigators would actually steer ships toward dark storm clouds, risking turbulent seas just for the chance to refill their stocks. The barrels were dry, the wood for the fire was gone, and the skies were clear. Pirates turned to more gruesome sources of hydration. In the Galapagos and Caribbean, giant tortoises and sea turtles became walking, swimming water coolers. It is a grim chapter of maritime history, but survival is never pretty. Pirates discovered that the blood and pericardial fluid of turtles had a salinity level low enough for humans to process, or at least survive on temporarily. In dire straits, catching a sea turtle wasn't about the meat, it was about the fluids. Additionally, giant tortoises could survive on ships for months without food or water, essentially serving as living fresh meat storage. When butchered, their bladders often contained gallons of fresh water that the animal had stored, which sailors would drink. It sounds horrific to modern ears, but when your tongue is swelling from thirst, morality takes a backseat to biology. The term watering appears frequently in pirate logs and captains' journals. This wasn't just a casual stop, it was a tactical military operation. Getting fresh water from an island was one of the most dangerous times for a pirate crew. They had to leave the safety of the ship, row to shore, and haul heavy barrels back and forth, leaving them vulnerable to ambush by natives, Spanish guards, or pirate hunters. Pirates preferred uninhabited islands or secret coves known as watering holes. They would look for running streams or freshwater springs. If none were visible, they knew to dig wells in the sand above the high tide line. The sand acted as a natural filter, often revealing fresh groundwater sitting atop the denser saltwater table. These secret locations were guarded jealously. A map leading to a reliable freshwater spring was often worth more than a map leading to gold, because gold couldn't keep you alive in the middle of the Pacific. We can't talk about pirate health without mentioning the twin killer of dehydration, scurvy. Interestingly, the two were linked. As we mentioned with Grog, the hydration solution eventually helped solve the scurvy problem. Scurvy is caused by a vitamin C deficiency, leading to lethargy, gum disease, and the reopening of old wounds. Because fresh water spoiled so fast, pirates relied heavily on moisture from food when they could. Fresh fruits and vegetables provided both hydration and essential vitamins. However, these spoiled even faster than water. The introduction of citrus juice into their water-rum mixtures, grog, was a game-changer. It allowed the water to be palatable while unknowingly dosing the crew with vitamin C. It's a classic example of accidental science solving one problem, bad-tasting water, and inadvertently curing a plague of the seas. The survival techniques pioneered by these desperate sailors laid the groundwork for modern maritime survival. The principle of boiling seawater and catching the steam is the exact same method used in solar stills found in modern lifeboat survival kits today. The practice of mixing water with stabilizing agents is the ancestor of our modern water purification tablets. Pirates were outlaws, yes, but they were also explorers pushing the boundaries of human endurance. They ventured into the unknown with technology that was barely adequate, relying on wit, observation, and a refusal to die. Their ability to turn the deadly ocean into a source of life is a testament to human ingenuity. They proved that with a little knowledge of physics and a lot of desperation, you can survive almost anything. It really puts a glass of tap water into perspective, doesn't it? The next time you feel thirsty, just remember, you don't have to boil the ocean or mix your water with rum just to survive the day. But I want to hear from you. If you were stranded at sea in the 1700s, which method would you have chosen? The primitive distillation, the rain catching, or would you have risked the turtle blood? Let me know your survival strategy in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, please hit that like button, it really helps the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss out on our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.